All right, so Jeremiah chapter 6. Welcome to the Good 90 podcast.
Yeah.
Here we roll.
We don't
right?
really have an intro.
Yeah.
We don't really have a host either. I was thinking about
host.
that too. I was like,
I'm sitting right here, bro.
Oh, man. Big guy. Oh, it's because you have the stash. So you think
The stash
you're
is the host,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm glad you got the camera because they
That's
wouldn't
it.
understand.
You know, that's so funny because that's the first thing when we put it up on video
Yeah.
driving. Reed was like, man, Brady's mustache just makes me laugh.
I actually trimmed it down a little bit. I trimmed the beast back.
Man, the other day it was looking thick. Man. I walked through the pub and I was like,
Every time I took a bite of
wow.
something, I took a bite of mustache. I can't live like this. At what cost? Does living
at what cost?
Like,
When are you gonna get some gel to
I can
to start
curl
that?
it. It's just I trimmed it back. Like I can curl the sides.
When are you
but,
gonna start that, man?
You know, sometimes I gotta stay humble.
Hey, humble.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Oh man! So this is our first go at this, so we'll see how we roll. I think we probably, probably most of the people that listen at first are gonna know names, but
Yeah, who we are.
Yeah, but I'm Alan.
Brady.
Mason.
I'm Wyatt.
All right, so we're good. We conquered that one. We're all at ULM, University of Louisiana Monroe.
God's country.
God's country on the bayou.
Land of Duck Commander.
Best on the bayou.
Best on the bayou,
Only
right
what they
there.
say.
They're
on
the
the
only
bayou.
one on the
But yeah, so we're in the Bayou Studios room, whatever, and we're here to share this thing with each other this morning. We had a couple of ideas, just kind of kicking around the idea of having rest for your souls, and so this idea of why do we chase after Jesus and all that kind of stuff, and so I was going to read just a little bit of Jeremiah, and then we'll just kind of roll and see what happens. So this is chapter 6 of Jeremiah, and I'm not going to make the same old Jeremiah was a bullfrog joke that I always make, but this is the beginnings of this long book of this prophet, and so a lot of what the prophets do in the Bible, if you don't know, is they call people back to God. That's what happens, and so this one verse stands out a lot to me, and I've told these guys about it. I've talked to other people about it before. It's just something that's kind of big for this idea of being in college and kind of taking a look at your life. And so this is what it says. This is what the Lord says. Stand at the crossroads and look. Ask for the ancient paths. Ask where the good way is and walk in it, and you will find rest for your souls. And so we know, too, that Jesus, he talks about, come to me, all who are heavy burdened, and I will give you rest. And so this idea of rest for your souls is found in a few different places in Scripture. I think it's something that we're all longing for. And so in this kind of quest to figure out, why do this Jesus still? Like, why follow? Why would I surrender my life over to this God that I can't see, that I don't know? Why would I do something different than the mainstream of culture? Why would I change my life at all? I just wonder if maybe one of the best reasons is because you need some rest for your soul because you're chasing a bunch of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what you guys think, but
Yeah. I feel like it's either you're chasing something or you're just trying to get away from something. Kind of like in my testimony, it's more with mental stuff, mental health, and you kind of said yours is heavy on that too.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was chasing stuff to get away from the thoughts or just constant just turmoil.
Yeah.
There's no rest. And again, like I said, when you said that, I was like, man, that is it. That's what I was chasing. And I think, was it in Romans 6 I wrote, that he said you're going to be a slave to something. You're going to follow something in this life.
That's good.
And I think when I was starting to figure this Jesus thing out, and I read that, I was like, man, that is such a truth that I was so blinded to, that I'm going to be a slave to something. I'm going to follow something. And once I realized that, I was like, man, that's exactly what I was doing. And I think that was a big reason that, like, man, Jesus is the way for me. when I realized that there is rest to be found there.
Yeah. So what do you think? Like, when you hit campus? You're 18. What are the top 5 slave owners? In campus.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
Well, I can tell you right now, Jesus is probably not in the top 5.
No.
yeah. So, like, seriously though, like
Yeah.
for y'all, what would you say? Well, you don't have to list your whole 5 right now, but what's one of
Yeah.
I'm
them?
gonna
Party.
say Greek life or
Greek life,
just
yeah,
party.
things
fraternity.
like that.
I think a big thing for me was, especially because I came, from so far away from home, I was like, man, I need to get my name out. I need
Yeah.
I need people
Absolutely.
to understand, like,
we get your
Yeah,
brand
yeah,
going.
I
you
need
were
to- I need to like
the kid.
I need to get it rolling.
Yeah, I mean, I need to start this ball, start this train of like, man, these people. I want people to know who I am.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I mean, man, going back to the Jesus thing, like, man, Jesus already knows who you are.
Yeah.
Like, and he's waiting for you to come and to offer you that rest, man. But yeah, I think Greek life was big.
I think a huge thing
Yeah.
is most of the time you're leaving your friend group from high school.
Sure.
100%. Even if I'm from West Washita, like a lot of people came here, you're leaving it.
Yeah.
You're not all together again. And it's like, man, I gotta find a new group that I'm not just sitting at my house doing nothing. Like,
Yeah.
It's everyone has that. Like, man, I'm scared to just be alone.
yeah,
FOMO.
no,
FOMO
I'm
is so
scared.
bad
Yes.
first year of
Absolutely.
college. Like,
And I think that's a part of like, man, you start to step out probably against what you thought was right in some things.
Yeah.
So you're like, man, I just got to do it to make these friends. And it's
because
just
that's
not that
the
big of a
normal.
deal.
That's what you're supposed
Yeah.
to do. That's what the
Yeah.
world tells you to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was a big thing for me. Is like, I still have my friends, but and I got to prove myself a little bit and get me a new group, and
Yeah.
we'll be all good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jump off a couple things.
See
That's
if I
funny.
land,
You said like get your name out there,
Yeah.
that made me think of like in Gladiator when he's like you have a great name, he has to kill your name before he kills you, or
Yeah.
whatever, like how, and like in that whole Greek culture, not Greek life on ULM, but that was the understanding, like
Yeah.
you had to make your name great while you were on earth because there was nothing after this.
Yeah.
It's like that whole Achilles and like chasing glory and that kind of stuff. Like that's what we have to do. And so that is a good one, right? I didn't
Yeah.
even think about it like that's something that you become a slave to, is chasing your own greatness in that
Yeah.
sense, or pursuing it. And like I know you guys all heard this from your parents and stuff like that. We want you to do good things, and and every football coach and every teacher wants to be the one that inspires you to greatness and all
Yeah,
this kind
yeah.
of stuff. But sometimes we can get lost in this search for greatness. Like talking to guys that play baseball, and they're all talking about their big league dreams or whatever. Well, I mean that's great to have that dream, and you got to push for it. But if that's all you're pushing for,
Yeah.
then you get lost in that really quickly.
Yeah.
So-
I was talking to a dude I met this weekend, and he went and played baseball at Tulane.
yeah.
And he was like, yeah, dude, I went, and I wasn't good enough, but it's weird because, like, that was my everything.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do now.
Yeah.
Now that I'm not playing.
And I was thinking, it's funny that you said that. It's like our desires, and I think our dreams and our ambitions, like they can be healthy, of
Yeah.
course. I think
Yeah.
the Lord puts
Yeah,
that
100%.
and impresses that on our heart. But it's like I do believe that the enemy can use these desires and these dreams in a way to destroy you, or in a way that's gonna fail you in the end.
Yeah.
But on the other side of it, the Lord can use it in a
Yeah,
way to
what if you're-
glorify Him.
What if you're all in on Jesus?
Yeah,
It's like-
absolutely.
I think it starts with like, where's your priority at? Is your
Yeah.
priority, yourself and pushing your name out to greatness? Because I know, like when I was growing up, man, I was selfish, man. Like I wanted the attention to be on me, and people to think that my name was great. That Wyatt Morgan is a stud, the
guy,
kid,
yeah.
like
The
all the
kid.
things. But no, but now my focus has switched because I've realized that selfishness and greed and pride like takes me to something that it doesn't fulfill me.
Yeah.
But now like kind of like we were talking about the other day, where we're talking about how you want to be a doctor, and like when we were first doing the question thing, it's like
You won't be a doctor?
I'm trying.
I know this guy right wants to be a doctor.
It's a lot of hoops to jump
Yeah.
through.
But yeah,
Dad's
we were
getting
talking
tired.
about how he wanted to be a doctor, and I was like, man, like God can glorify that too.
Yeah.
Because I was talking about how I've kind of felt the urge to go into ministry, and we were just kind of talking and jumping out ideas about that, and it's like, man, wherever your heart's at, if it's with Jesus, he's going to do whatever,
Yeah.
and it's going to glorify him.
It was a mix between like, am I making this about me?
Yeah.
Or am I being self? Like, sometimes you get those mix of minds. Like, am I chasing this for glorification, or like, you wrestle with those thoughts, having the right intention. But then we got on the topic of, well, I feel like God lets you choose. I mean, again, that is your free will, but
There's
I mean,
a whole
he
rabbit
just
hole,
wants
man.
to be. He wants to be in
Yeah.
in the mix of it, and he can do he can do whatever he wants through whatever you choose.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%.
So what do you think about the idea of the Jeremiah verse with the crossroads? Like, stand at the crossroads and look.
Yeah.
So I feel like when students get to campus, like what we were kind of just talking about, that they're immediately at a crossroads. They've got a choice of which way they're going to go.
They have a lot of choices, too.
Well,
they
yeah.
never had before.
And
that was big for me.
In my head, when I think of crossroads, like I simply think of like a four-way stop.
Yeah.
But really what it's like, the crossroads that students enter now, it's like you come up to this thing and there's like 50 different
It's
ways
like an
you can go.
asterisk. Yeah, it's like an asterisk, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, an asterisk. That's a good way to say it, right?
Yeah.
It just like splinters off and like you're in the middle of like Dallas, and all these different roads you could take,
Was it like the organization events that we have? Just like all these
Yeah.
poster boards? Like, man,
Yeah.
all those tables.
I'm getting popular.
Oh, yeah. There's something here for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, when you're faced with that, and I know that everybody kind of hits crossroads at different places in their lives, too. Like, I just think college is this major one. But so when you're standing at the edge of that and you're trying to make that decision, like if you think about, like, when that was you, or just for people now, students now, and they're at those places, like, what do you, like, because it says like ask for the ancient paths or whatever, like ask, like when you were at the crossroads, who were you asking about stuff?
I was
Like-
asking the guys in college, like, man, how'd you get there? Like,
Yeah,
who do
what's the
I
secret,
need
man?
to talk to
Yeah.
to get in the fraternity, or how is it? I mean, I'm just asking. I'm asking for advice. Just
Yeah.
Not the best people.
not the
to
best
ask.
people in that moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to be asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of times, too, like, when I was reading this verse, I just stopped and thought, like this is an opportunity for us to reflect on our lives. And I think a lot of the time, too, like, you're coming to college and you're not reflecting on your life. You're like, my life has just begun.
Yeah.
And so it's like, man, what's going to fulfill me now that I didn't have in my old life, I guess. Because for me, I, like, up here, I've never been to Monroe in my life.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, there's so many different avenues I could go down to try and make my life so much better than what it was at home. And my life at home, it was great.
Yeah.
But I think the Lord's calling us here, especially in this verse, to stop and think about, man, where are you really going? Where are you walking now? Where are you doing this, man? And I think a lot of times, man, we're blind to that.
Yeah.
I was blind to that. You
Yeah.
know? I mean, I could speak for all, you can speak for yourself, but I think you were also blind as well.
Yeah.
Both of you, yeah.
Completely.
Oh, yeah, I was, yeah.
And like Brady, like I grew up in Monroe. Like I went to Neville.
Yeah.
I've gone to every ULM baseball game, every basketball game, every football game. As a kid,
Super fan.
Yeah, I was this ULM super fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we'd go play LSU, and I'd painted my chest like ULM.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, there's a picture. I'll have
Oh,
to
yeah, there's
pull
a
it
picture
up.
of you and
Me and Noah Neal.
Yeah, you and Noah Neal.
You and one other guy?
Yeah, UL.
It's just UL.
Oh.
And
Two letters.
and dude, like high school, I have this life, but I get here and I know one person from high school that
Right.
came with me, and or two people, and it was like, dude, this is a chance for me to start over, like to experience like more partying. Like I've never experienced a party before. Like I need to get into Greek life.
Yeah.
Right now, I know
Yeah.
some guys in Kappa Sig,
Yeah.
and like just not once did I think about my walk with Christ.
No.
No, not even.
And I just had a very influential summer
Yeah.
through volunteering and work crew and all this good stuff. But I get to ULM, and just,
Yeah, it's gone.
it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about like when I was looking into this verse. You could fact check me if I'm wrong here, but I thought about King Solomon, man, and like how he, literally son of King David, man, like he was, and he was king, and he did really good work for the kingdom, but then he was, blinded by the fact that he was marrying all these, pagan Egyptian wives, and he was doing all this other stuff that didn't glorify God, but he was also doing other stuff that was glorifying God, man. I just think about our lives too, like especially coming in to college or coming into a new setting. Like, man, I was claiming that I knew Christ.
Sure.
I was, but then I was going out there and doing X, Y, and Z that was not.
Yeah, like
I would glorifying God.
I would get offended if someone said something about like God or Jesus.
Yeah,
Like, I believe
yeah,
in.
that's a whole.
But I'm like, dude, hey, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Are we going to the bar? Like
That's
made
a great-
no
that's a great
sense.
way
Did
to
you
put
buy
it.
that Uber tonight?
That's
Yeah, I paid for the Uber last weekend. Dude, I'll
split it with you.
Made no sense, and it's just like how like deceived we were,
Man,
and it's just like we were so comfortable in it. I'm like, man,
No, yeah.
I believe Jesus.
Yeah. Man, I mean, I
That's
I
it.
love this too. Paul Washer has a quote in one of his sermons that he teaches. It's on like Matthew 16 or whatever, but he basically says, long story short, he says he has more respect for an atheist who acts like they believe that they don't believe in God than a person who says they believe in God and they don't act like it.
Yeah, sure.
And man, that hits deep because that was me.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
me at one point in time, man.
Yeah, so I feel like when you're at the crossroads, then, and you said like you didn't give one thought, about your walk with Christ or anything when you were looking around and kind of you weren't asking for that. You were asking for all these other things, where's the party? Who do I talk to? How do I get connected and all this stuff? And so then one of the problems I think people have, because I think genuinely, I mean, we're in the South, and so a lot of people come to ULM with a little bit of faith.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Bible
In
Belt.
it's
Yeah.
somewhere back there. It's a grandma, it's an aunt, it's a that maybe they went to church their whole life, whatever. But it's back there. But then they get up to the crossroads, and everything is so noisy. That's what I was thinking about. Like if you're in Dallas, and cars are just going by, zipping by and everything like that. Like there's so much noise, and then that leads us away from rest for our souls because we're standing at a crossroads and we got cars zipping by going 90 miles an hour. There's so much noise. It's no way to find any rest in that, And so
usually the noise is following the crowd.
Yeah.
It's like, man, like everyone's going, like, oh, they're all going that way. Yep, gone.
Yeah.
And it's just like not even a thought of
Yeah.
just like I gotta fit in. I gotta do what everyone else is doing, and that's just how it is. It's just how it's always been done. I gotta follow these guys. I gotta do all this, and usually it's not the.
No, yeah. I
not
mean,
the
I think
best
too,
route.
like, man, when I was looking coming in, like, man, these guys have everything.
Yeah.
Like they have everything going for them. They must have rest. Like they must feel good about themselves and have it all
Yeah.
figured. They must have it all.
They're
figured
doing it
out.
right.
They're doing
Yeah.
it right. But it's like, man, you like especially being in the fraternity for 3 years now. You're going on 4.
Yeah.
Like, man, you would ask a guy like, man, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm not doing good.
Yeah.
And it's like.
You never think
I would have
that?
never
Yeah.
known that,
Like
man.
the older
Ever.
guys, when I came in, man, you'd walk in the bar with them, and they would know everybody, every girl, every dude. They know where to go for booze, where to go for this and that. I'm like, dude, this dude is legit. And it's like, man, and then a year down the road, you'll hear them saying like, man, he wasn't doing good, or something happened, or whatever. And it's like, man,
it's real.
It's it opens your eyes because you're trying to be that guy, reach that level.
Yeah.
Like, man, just know everybody, know this and that, and just be the guy, like you were saying.
Yeah.
But it's an eye opener how that is such a
It's
smoking
worldly.
mirror.
Yeah, that's what the
Yeah.
world tells you to do. That's what the world
Yeah.
says. Hey, this is where rest is found, man, and it's just a lie.
Well,
It's a lie, man.
Where's it at in that? It says, travel its path and you will find rest for your souls. And since you reply, no, that's not the road we want.
Yeah.
But it's like, whoa. I was like, that could never be me, but it was. Yeah, I will rest, but
Yeah.
like, man.
It's like when you say, "Oh no, God, I got this, man." It's
Yeah.
like that's exactly what that's saying. No, that's not the road that I want.
No, that's boring.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Christian life is terrible, man. I mean, I can't do that.
All
man.
them rules
Yeah.
and like, what can I do for fun if I follow Jesus? That's man.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I'll pray when I get home from Cooter. Like, come on.
Jesus, I'm sorry.
And like Wyatt was saying, like you were saying, like you were trying to get your name out there.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about it the whole time, and like that's exactly what I tried to do when I went to work at the bar
Yeah.
for a year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, dude, like these bar guys, they know everybody. Like they get free drinks. Like it's a big girl factor. Like
I'm in the spot, man.
I'm in the spot. Everyone knows me. Everyone texts me.
That staff shirt.
Oh, that staff shirt looked great on me.
Mustang Sally staff
But
shirt.
like in reality, I'm losing sleep, failing classes, and I'm like in mental warfare 24/7.
Yeah.
All because I wanted it so bad to be that cool guy. And what we read in our Bible study last week, Matthew 16, verse 26, for what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and forfeits his soul?
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
you're giving it up.
Yeah. Yeah. That ties in directly with that idea of rest or not rest, because in Jeremiah he's talking about rest for your souls, and then Jesus is talking about forfeiting your own soul, even like just eliminating the possibility altogether of ever finding rest. And what do you really gain from it? And there's like the devil went down to Georgia. You've heard that song your whole life, right?
He was way behind.
Yeah, and so and that's what the devil offers him, right?
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of movies and situations and stories that play into that exact thing of like, I'm signing right here. It's like I'm signing my life away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Doing these things or living this lifestyle, and I'm not finding any rest. I don't have any peace. And all these things that I thought I would eventually get at the end of the rainbow or whatever are actually not there.
Yeah.
The rainbow just keeps going, and I can just keep chasing it, and I'm further and further and further down the road, and off of where I'm supposed to be, way off of the path for sure.
Yeah. I was thinking, again, kind of in my testimony, like the route you were chasing, that string you're chasing down, that's gonna find my legacy, get my name out there, and all this.
Help me defeat what's going on in my mind.
And eventually,
right now,
you get to a point where you're so bad, and it's like, all right, you have that thought, like, I can't keep doing this. Like, you wrestle with it, and then you start kind of like, I'm going to change.
Yeah.
But then I found this psalm last night, Psalm 143, and says, my enemy has chased me. He has knocked me to the ground and forces me to live in darkness like those in the grave. I'm losing all hope. I'm paralyzed with fear. Come quickly, Lord, and answer me. For my depression deepens. Do not turn away from me, or I will die.
That's good.
And it's like, you get so far, and it's like, man, you keep waking up with a headache. You keep going to sleep. Just like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm going to start running, but, I mean, the enemy's there chasing you.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got you where you want you at.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, for me, in my testimony, man, like there got a point in time where I would look in the mirror and be like, man, who am I?
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
I was so run over with sin, and it's like I never thought I would be here, ever. I never thought I would be the guy that had all this weight, all these things that I have done. It's like, man, I'm done. But it's like I think about the young rich ruler too, where Jesus is telling him like, man, I have everything. What do I need to do? He's like, sell all your stuff and follow me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, all of this I'm going to sell to follow you. And it's like, but man, that is the path.
Yeah.
That is the path. And it's like, we get so bound up with our sin, man, that like sometimes we enjoy our sin because that's the only thing we know. Man, it's like,
Yeah.
and that is also a lie too, man. It's like, okay, well, this is just who I am. No, it's not who you are.
Yeah, and we'll grab these brief moments of joy, or it's really not even joy, but
Temporary.
This temporary feeling, and we'll hold on to that, and we'll think, well, then I just got to go to the next temporary feeling, like an addict,
Yeah.
is what we end up doing. And I was just thinking about that 143. That's a good psalm, and man, that's the exact opposite picture of rest.
Exactly.
What you're talking about there, and somehow that made me think of, because you're like saying like I'm getting all these things, and I'm hoping that once I get this and once I get that I'm going to have rest, and like you end up carrying this massively heavy pack, right?
Yeah.
And so you guys have probably not even seen this movie, but
Here we go.
there's an old
Here we go.
an old Robin Hood with Kevin Costner in it.
Yeah, did
Okay.
he?
All right, you seen that one? Okay, you're right.
Really?
Your parents probably loved it. Actually, they're probably the ones who showed it to you. But anyway, they in that movie, when everything's kind of coming down at the end, the like the priest or the preacher or whatever in the town, like he's like in league with the bad guy, and then there's this humble Friar Tuck, right, guy that's on Robin Hood's side, and so the two preachers kind of go at it in the chapel or whatever, and he's like, well, you need the humble guy. He's like, well, you need to pack for your journey. You got to get out of here. And he keeps handing him these bags of gold. And he's like, yeah, you got to pack, you're going to need this. You're going to need this. And then in the last part, he goes, and here's 30 pieces of silver to pay the devil on your way to hell. He pushes him out this window, so it's a pretty rough scene. But the point is, like, everything he gave him, it was like either a bag of gold or a bag of jewels or something that we would chase after, something that we would want.
Yeah.
And so, as you keep living this life, and you get, okay, I got that, and then I got that, and then I got that, and it looks good, and maybe one bag of that would be fine if you just kept the one bag and you spread the coins out and you used them properly or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you just overwhelmed all of a sudden with it, you can't handle the weight, and it will just force you down, and it will become a burden that you can't bear. And that's why Jesus says, give me your burdens. Let me give you mine, because mine is easy, mine is light.
Yeah.
The ones that you're piling up, you just can't carry.
Yeah.
And nobody thinks about that on the front end when they're diving into all this stuff. Nobody thinks about that when they're at the crossroads and they hear the noise and they just follow the crowd, or they just go where the party is or where the good vibe is. Nobody thinks about the load that they're going to end up holding on to.
You're going to a place filled with people searching for the same thing.
Yeah.
Man,
I've realized that so much, man.
It makes no sense, but
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's chasing this thing, and the answer's not there.
No.
And so just running around, bumping into each other constantly, screwing up each other's lives. When the answer is out here. In this mountaintop, this peaceful place. And you're in the mosh pit. Of bullcrap or whatever. So yeah, not much rest there.
Absolutely not. No.
no.
I mean, when I was doing, more research into this verse, man, I couldn't just like sit there and not think about. My Bible's not going to say this. Ask for the ancient paths where the good way is, and I was just like, man, Jesus says that He's the way in John 14:6.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. Whoever comes, like, you can only come to the Father unless through me.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that, right? Because I read a guy once who said this. He said, sometimes people think that Jesus, when He says that, He's like saying, I'm in the way, but no, He's saying He is the way. But
Yes.
lots of times we look at Him as, well, He's the roadblock to what we want to go do. He's in our way. Jesus, you're going to slide by. I'm just going to get by you right here.
Yeah.
I'm coming back.
Yeah.
do it. And so
Drop your pen.
So that's what we think, but he is literally the
way, yes.
the way,
The only way. Yeah.
And so that we get messed up, and so that kind of you're right. That does kind of hit with this verse, for sure.
No,
in Jeremiah.
I thought about that, man, and then like I couldn't, when He says and walk in it. I think at the crossroads, man, it's like when I was there, and even sometimes like daily too, because I don't think a crossroad is just a one-time thing.
No.
It's like it's daily, man. Like you have to choose to walk in that. But man, I think when I came to college, or man, when I was in high school, or even up until recently, I would look at the crossroad I would be at a crossroad, man. I'd be like, oh, hey, Jesus, like, I acknowledge you, but then I would go walk another path.
Yeah.
But he doesn't say that, man. He says, and walk in it.
Walk
like,
in that way.
That is in action. Don't acknowledge it, man. Just do it. Walk in it, man.
And to me, that's the big answer to that question of why, is because the very thing that you're trying to find in all this other stuff is readily available in a relationship with Christ. Like,
Yeah.
because ultimately you're chasing peace. Like, that's what you want. Everybody, that's what they want. They want to just go, that's what they want. They want to be there. And so that's what Jesus actually does offer. And so walking in that way, and that, and if you start blowing up the word walk and looking in the Bible, well, then we'll be here all day, right? I mean, so, take up your cross and follow me, right? Walk in the ways of the Lord. All these kind of verses that we hear, and this idea of walking it out is the thing.
Yeah.
And you guys know this, it's a whole lot easier to walk that out with other people.
Yeah.
At the same thing, the idea of community, and I know that's one of the things that you were talking about in your questions, having that community of people. And so I don't know. So the why really is you gotta get to that.
Yeah.
And understand that, and I think the best way to do that is to do that in a community of people, have people genuinely ask that question together, and then you're going to start finding those answers. It's like you phone a friend, or however, whatever method you think of, because odds are somebody's been at that same crossroads that you're at before.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot too with with my situation, man. It's like, somebody come to me, I did this, that too. I'm like, man, same. Yeah, I did it too, man. Let me point you to some scripture that helped me.
Yeah.
And it's like we aren't supposed to do life alone, especially in the Christian life.
It's
man.
not
We're
easy.
not. No,
I mean,
but it's worth it, man.
That choice just to be like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
give it a shot, and it's not.
No.
It's not easy. And
No.
honestly, it's at the most of the time for me. It was at the point where I was like, I'm at the dead end. Like, man, it's kind of like your only choice at some time, but sometimes it's just, man, there's got to be something better.
Yeah.
And it's not easy turning from what this world can give you, all your friends, your name, again, all the stuff you've accumulated in this walk you've chosen. And it's like, man, it's not just that's it. I've changed my way. You're going to struggle with it.
Yeah, no.
It's hard, and that's the truth. But I'm telling you, it's once you realize what is there for you in that walk and that godly ancient route that he's talking about.
Yeah.
And you'll realize, what was I doing?
Yeah, what was I thinking? Why didn't I do this sooner?
And it's so hard to explain.
It is. I was going to talk about that too, but you're talking about how, it takes you only having that's your last resort. Man, that when I came to you on my birthday, man, and I was like, what's the key? I'm tired of doing this. You're like, it's just more Jesus and less of you.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, thanks. I was like, that that really helps me out, man. But O'Leary said something yesterday in his sermon, man, that that really hit home for me. He said, sometimes you don't change until you experience pain.
Yeah.
And man, there's so much pain out here in this world that we would never know. And people are trying to find that answer, man. And I think that you're exactly right, that you don't understand the type of rest that Jesus has to offer you. If you were to ask me to explain it, I don't know if I could, because it's just it's a peace that surpasses all understing.
It's like
They say it right there, man.
It's like a feeling. It's not all on me anymore.
No,
I'm not responsible for a lot of things that happen in this world. There's responsibility in your choices, but it's not just I'm responsible for my peace. I'm responsible for my success. I'm me, and it's once you choose Jesus, or once you kind of give it to him and choose that route, it's just, again, it's hard to explain. It's not all on me anymore, because it never was. He took it from me 2,000 years ago. Yeah, and it's on that cross now, and you just have to realize that.
Yeah, I think a big thing for me too was understanding that I was born a sinner. Oh, yeah. I was like, I sinned. I did this. I did that. Well, yeah, I did, but man, I was born one. There's a great visualization of this. Man, that's a tongue twister. Of a 3-year-old kid. There's a plate of cookies, and his mom tells him, "Don't take the cookie," and then he does, and he eats it, and then his mom's like, "Did you eat a cookie?" He's like, "No." Well, the mom didn't teach him how to lie,
right,
or how to steal.
Yeah,
he just did it.
Yeah,
out of pure instinct, and he's 3 years old, man. But that was, I'm sure I did that when I was little, man. Like I'm sure we all did that, you know. But yeah, that's something that I really had to understand that like, man, I'm broken.
Yeah.
I'm really broken, and I need a savior to make me unbroken and help me to be unbroken. Man, I'm still broken, you know. But Jesus died for me.
It's a
man.
generational
It's
thing.
it's
What
Adam
that
and Eve.
Romans? What chapter is like? As sin entered the world through one man.
No, I don't know what chapter that is, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Adam.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, it's like Adam and Jesus are
Right.
yeah,
Right.
compared.
Opposites. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. And yeah, the walking in the non-ancient way, you know, like not walking in the good way. It does come natural. That's
Oh,
like
yes.
you're just
Yeah.
saying, like it's an easy one to latch onto, right? I mean, it's just like when I talk to couples about their relationships or whatever, and I say, well, okay, if you think about the spiritual aspect of your relationship, the emotional aspect, you know, the physical aspect of your relationship, and the social aspect, like, well, there's all these things that go into this relationship. You know, I mean, you got to communicate, you got to talk, you know. Well, but you know, in our world and our culture of hooking up and all this kind of stuff, like we rush right into this one, you know, to sex, and that's like the easiest one. Like that's the one that comes natural, you know. Like
Yeah.
the other things require a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, you got if you're gonna be good at communicating, if you're gonna be, you know, selfish or selfless in the relationship and all that stuff, like you got to work for those things. You know, the easy way is not always the best way, and so I think that's always a good self check, right? If you're standing at the crossroads and you're like, oh, this is easy, I'll just go right here. You know, well, then
Yeah,
that's probably the wrong way. You know, if it takes little effort, if there's no work on your part, you know, then it's probably the wrong way. Now, I know sometimes people go at great lengths to do the wrong thing, and they'll, chase all kinds of possibilities, and they'll expend all kind of energy on the wrong thing. But typically, by and large, the best way is usually not the easiest way. Even though the funny thing is that when you flip it, you know, it becomes the way of ease, because it becomes the way of peace when you actually choose it. But actually making that choice and walking in it is not that easy at all. You know? So, but yeah. So I don't know where we're at on time. Where we're looking at.
We're at 8:10.
Yeah. We've been rocking these mics for quite a while now. So,
Yeah.
well, anybody, we kind of land the plane. Maybe I know this is ripping off the Dan Patrick Show, but what they do every week when they close is they go, "What'd you learn today on the podcast?" or whatever, you know. So if you were going to land the plane here and just throw out one thing, you know, that you kind of learned as far as the good way and finding rest for your souls or whatever.
Yeah. One thing, I mean, I was thinking just the whole time, like as we're talking, is the saying that life does not get easier when you decide to follow Christ, but it gets better.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing about like being a Christian that is easy. Like there is sacrifice. There's always sacrifice. There's always self-discipline. There's always that gut feeling, conviction when you're like, man, I really feel like a piece of crap right now.
Yeah.
But it's for the betterment of your soul.
Yeah.
And it's like life gets better.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to scare anyone away from Christianity now, but it's like we're talking about, like no one honestly in their right mind would choose to be a Christian.
No, it's
You
like,
know,
it's like
have you ever heard that? Someone say,
Yeah.
like no one
Yeah.
would choose to do that because it's literally against all of your natural desires.
Yeah.
What to do, but it's like, again, like you said, it's not easy. It's easy to easy to do, easy to understand, but it's hard to carry out. I mean, even
Yeah.
a child can understand it, but it's so simple, it's hard.
Yeah.
And again, like you're saying, it's for the betterment of our soul, and honestly, for the betterment of your life. And it's not easy, of course, but nothing good comes easy, honestly.
No.
And a lot of, I mean, Jesus.
Especially in this world,
But-
man, it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly what you're saying. It's not easy, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I think about when you said like it's like nobody would want to do it. I think about C.S. Lewis quote where he's like, Jesus is either a liar, a lunatic, or he's Lord.
Yeah.
And it's like, and how we fall a lot of time. Like, you know, we're talking about Bible study when we're doing Matthew 16, and Jesus just says like, if you want to follow me, just take up your cross and follow me. It's like, well, oh, that's easy to understand, you know. But like, and it's hard. It's not hard. Like, it's not easy at all, man.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
easier said than done. And like, I think, you know, when I was doing, you know, my notes and trying to dive deep into this, man, I just reflected back on my life, and I was like, man, if you're chasing the things of this world and you're finding that they don't satisfy you, and they won't, man, just chase Jesus. Because that's like, you know, when I hit the bottom and I came to you, I said, that's, what do I do?
Yeah.
And you were like, just chase Jesus.
Yeah.
And don't chase yourself. Pretty
Yeah.
much, like, you know, more Jesus, less of you, man. And that's it. You know,
Yeah.
like, I wish I could explain, like, you know, the rest that, you know, Jesus talks about in Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. It's like, man, I have all that, but, you know, I think that I can do this on my own. Man, you can't. You know, and I just, like, that is something that I took away, man. And that's a daily thing to choose Jesus and run to Jesus and to chase Jesus, because I think, you know, especially in our society today, like, there's so many distractions of self-help, and, oh, this will help me do this, and I'll, you know, I can take this medication, or I can do this and that and the other, and I can find rest. And it's like, they don't lead to anything, man. They don't lead to good rest, but Jesus has led me, you know, and countless other people, and anybody who has really followed Christ to true rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was reflecting, kind of just trying to figure out why, and hearing all y'all talk, and I came to the conclusion of, you know, why Jesus?
Yeah.
So much stuff that feels good out here.
Yeah.
But it's like, this world is an eternal grave. It really is.
Yeah.
But Jesus gives you a life that is eternal. Is eternal. And I was like, man, yeah, that's great. But like, that's gonna take forever to achieve that. Like, that's gonna be it's hard work. But then you go back to Paul. It's like, today's the day for salvation.
Yeah.
Like, neither life nor death, angels, principalities, the fear of today or the anxiety of tomorrow, like, nothing can separate you
there's no better
from
time
this
than now.
love that Jesus offers. Nothing. He came down, a God humbling himself, creator of the universe, came down and was mutilated on a cross for you,
Yeah.
for all y'all, for us.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Wow.
I've never,
Me?
like, again, like I was
Yeah.
talking about Bible study, like, I wouldn't do that. Even
Yeah.
like, it's hard to say that I do that for someone I love. And he's doing it for people.
Yeah,
that,
I wouldn't die on a
that
cross.
spit in
Yeah.
his face, or again, like I said, people who he knew would never turn to him. He knew, and he still did it.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's something to check out if
Yeah.
I've ever heard it.
Yeah, and so, and everything does, like the Crossroads, and I just, even that word, and I'm sitting here looking at this handcrafted cross by Brother Trent Stewart that sits on our table today. So shout out to Trent and for his awesome handiwork, and for his generosity and being such a good dude. And so everything does point right there. Like,
Yeah.
at the end, and the Crossroads simply is that. Like, will you choose the cross, which is a way of difficulty? I get it, but it is so peace comes through this symbol of execution. I mean, it's weird thinking about it, right? But I mean, when people saw that way back in the first century, they wouldn't have understood why people were wearing it around their necks. And they wouldn't have understood why someone today would, you know, craft that wooden cross and give it away as a gift.
Yeah,
you
because
know?
that was the death sentence.
Yes, a death
Yeah.
sentence. It's what it is. And so ultimately, and I think guys understand this, like that whole football mentality, no pain, no gain, you know, kind of mentality. I mean, that if you don't go that way, like if we don't take it to the cross, like our life, and look at Jesus and say, okay, yeah, there's somehow peace through that, through me giving away my life, then I'm going to find peace. And I think for me, like, something that I remember thinking, like, literally thinking, like, I don't want to turn my life over to Christ because I don't want to have to be a preacher or something. You know, I don't want to have to do that, you know. Well, the joke's on me, right? You know, so, but I can't imagine, you know, I can't imagine doing anything else with my life. And I can't imagine if I would have, way back when I was 21 or 22 or whatever, if I would have said, nah, I'll pass, and then 30 something years later, what would have not happened, in that craziness. And so rest, like, and maybe we'll talk more about this next episode or whatever, but I know guys out there, you're listening like, oh yeah, geez, what, like, no, seriously, like, rest for your souls.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I know you want it, I know you need it, and Jesus does offer that. I know it might be kind of weird to get there for you sometimes, but that's what's guaranteed.
Yeah.
The thing you're chasing, the thing you truly, truly want, you will find in Christ. He is the way, and that's So,
Completely
well,
agree.
it's a good 90.
Yeah, that was a good
90
90, man.
Sure
All right.
was.
Yeah. Well, till next time. Adios, guys.
Yeah, stay in the fight, fellas.
See you around.
Bye.
That's terrible.
Bye.